Hey guys, welcome back to the Friday Vlog, where we discuss activity that goes on here with the Buzweaver channel. That includes things like current events, headlines that are in the news, pop culture, social media, technology, and items of interest that come up during the week that allow us to have a little bit of a dialogue. If this is your first time here to the channel, I'd like to welcome you guys here and would encourage you guys, if you're here on YouTube, to click on that watermark down there in the bottom right hand corner to subscribe, as well as notifications. That way you guys will always know the content when it is released here on the channel, as well as the Friday Vlog. In gaming news this week, Microsoft will be shutting down Mixer. Mixer was a streaming platform that was attempting to compete with both Twitch and YouTube gaming. However, they just weren't getting the numbers they were going to be satisfied with as Xbox gaming, as well as Microsoft has announced. Now keep in mind here, Mixer did not tell anyone that this was going to happen until the very last minute. Mixer actually sent out a tweet, and that's how everyone was essentially informed, even some of its biggest sponsors, those being both Ninja and Shroud. Now, from what we understand, both Ninja and Shroud were able to walk away with a little bit of money based upon their sponsorship contract. Ninja walks away with about $30 million, and Shroud walks away with about $10 million. So it would appear that they are out of their contract. Now, other individuals who were sponsored, for example, like Drifter, who covers Call of Duty, he says that, of course, he wasn't informed about this at all, except from the actual tweet itself. Now, he hasn't mentioned how he has worked out his contract or what his contract will do, but what we do know is Mixer will end on July the 22nd. So that means that it will be acquired by Facebook and will be part of Facebook Gaming. And at that point, everyone who is on Mixer will essentially be starting over from scratch. So all the people that have had established followers and have all of their networking and branding centered around Mixer are going to have to start over from scratch. So this was some of the biggest news in gaming this week, and I'll go ahead and leave you information if you want to follow up down below this video. NASCAR has been in the news lately. As you guys remember, they decided to ban all types of Confederate flags, stickers, t-shirts, hats, or any emblems or items that come into the racetrack with the Confederate flag on it. But now we have a newer controversy, and that centers around one of the racers, Bubba Wallace. Now, I want to read directly from the articles so you guys can get an idea of what happened and what has transpired. So, this is from CNN. Richard Petty Motorsports, which fields the number 43 car driven by Wallace, issued a statement saying one of its employees discovered a rope tied in the fashion of a noose in the garage stall assigned to Wallace. The Petty employees followed protocol and notified NASCAR, they said in a statement. No member of Richard Petty Motorsports nor Wallace had any involvement with the presence of the rope, the statement said. So essentially what we had here was we had another kind of a Jesse Smollett situation. Now you would think that individuals who are working around cars and vehicles, who are familiar with garages, are very familiar with pull ropes that allow you to close the doors. So it is kind of interesting that the interpretation of the way this particular knot was tied. Now I've not seen an actual picture of it to really be able to understand, you know, what they're actually describing. But this could be yet another situation where we have some hypersensitive, potential newsworthy information from groups of individuals who, of course, want to be front and center stage, and what would be the approval-seeking, counterculture, social justice warrior, virtue signaling environment that we currently live in. Now, of course, as you have learned now, as I will follow up now from the Alabama.com news website, a rope found in the garage stall by black driver Bubba Wallace, what was actually his team, at the NASCAR race Sunday, was a garage door pull, not a noose. It had been there since 2019, federal authorities at NASCAR said Tuesday. The FBI learned that garage number 4, where the noose was found, was assigned to Bubba Wallace last week. The investigation has also revealed evidence, including authentic video confirmed by NASCAR, that the noose found in the garage, they're still calling it a noose even in this article, the noose found in the garage, number 4, was in the garage as early as October 2019. Although the noose is now known to have been in the garage number 4 since 2019, nobody could have known Mr. Wallace would be assigned to that garage number 4 last week. So this all kind of just played into the narrative that we're seeing right now in the particular culture that we're in what the media likes to drive a narrative in. But this is so indicative of what we saw with Jussie Smollett as well. Hypersensitive individuals bringing something to the attention, interpreting something into a newsworthy event that unfortunately has to bring in the authorities, has to make headlines throughout the news, only to find out that it was simply a pull rope for a garage, or the way it was knotted, or the way it was tied up. And I posted a picture the other day called Know Your Knots, which shows some of the looping knots and other things that you can use. And of course you want to make kind of a handle type pulling device for your garage door, so you can grab it and pull it down. Others have little devices at the end of the rope that allow them to pull down the garages easier, or they use a garage door opener, of course. But nonetheless, guys, this was yet another topic that could be brought to the forefront during the current climate of protesting and so forth that's going on. And unfortunately, it had to happen yet again within NASCAR, but it would appear that this is going to be settling down now that it's been exposed. And Bubba Wallace is kind of trying to work out all of the details about, as he's concerned about his character and his image and things of that nature. So we'll have to kind of just keep an eye on it to see where it progresses. But I'll leave a link to these particular articles down there below this video. In Washington, D.C., Lafayette Square, just outside of the White House, protesters, as they are identified, were attempting to pull down the Andrew Jackson statue. Let me tell you something, guys. When you have ropes and you have devices and you have tools and you have items to tear things down, that doesn't sound like someone who is about to protest. That sounds like someone who's out there to cause trouble and harm and destruction of public property. And of course, they're there for the attention, for the media coverage. And I think President Trump did a great job in handling this by sending the police, because it could be argued, as many have said, that perhaps they are testing the president here to see whether or not he will invoke the Insurrection Act and send in the military. And I think he's aware of this type of scheming. I'm sure he's aware of this type of maneuvering. So he handled this very well. And I think the American people are getting a very clear picture that these are not protesters. If you're bringing devices and tools and Molotov cocktails and all these other sorts of implements of destruction, you're not there to protest. Protesting requires that you go to a city hall and get a permit, not go to the city hall and take it over like we see in Seattle. Mentioning that right now, they have had yet another shooting in CHOPS. That would be the Capitol Hill occupied protest there in Seattle. And we've seen Jeannie Durkin come out, the mayor of Seattle, and say that they're going to try to get a handle on this, because it is getting so bad there that not even the police can respond to these shootings, nor will the EMS, the emergency services. They will not respond unless an area is secure. They can't simply go into an area where there is known gunfire and simply try to perform some sort of a rescue attempt or medical procedures, because they have to be safe and secure. They don't carry firearms. The emergency medical teams don't carry firearms to defend themselves or protect themselves. They need the police to be there to secure the area, as well as begin and conduct the investigation. So here we have these groups of individuals in Washington, D.C. attempting also not only to bring down a statue, but set up some type of autonomous zone there, where the president mentioned that as long as he was president, he was not going to allow for any group of individuals to set up any sort of autonomous zone, which of course brought out Twitter's censorship. And they did an edit on the president's tweet saying that what he was saying was fomenting and or inciting violence, or threatening violence, which is absurd. He's there to keep law and order. That's part of his job. When he mentions that he is a law and order president, he's not saying he's law and order president to make some sort of forceful statement. That is actually his job description. So here we have yet another incident in Washington where these individual rioters, as they were, protesting is one thing, rioting and trying to tear down statues is another thing. People are seeing this. People are realizing what's going on, so they can clearly see that this is not exactly peaceful protesters trying to get their message out. These are individuals looking out there to cause destruction and harm and attention for their cause. And fortunately, the president handled this very well. And I'll leave information for that regarding what all transpired there in D.C. below this video. All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Friday vlog. I want to thank all you guys for your continued support. Last week's Friday vlog did really, really well, so I was very encouraged, very happy by all your guys' support. And remember, guys, to click on that like button as well as to share this information with those on social media so they can be kind of informed and aware of what's going on around us in the current climate, the pop culture, the social media, all the news that we cover here on the channel. Be sure to share that with those that might be interested in this type of content. I want to thank all of you guys for your continued support. And if you haven't already, of course, if you're following this on DTube and BitChute, be sure you give me a follow there as well. And for those of you here on YouTube, of course, right there appearing on the screen, that would be the channel icon to click on to subscribe if you haven't already, as well as notifications. That way you guys will know when there is content here on the channel, as well as the Friday vlog. And I will see you guys right there behind that camera next week.